では皆さん, we have one last particle to introduce for this chapter. This is another way of using the particle ni. So particle ni, we already talked about particle ni being used to talk about where we're going. We use it with a movement verb. But we also have another ni that we use in a different way. So let's take a look. 7時に学校に行きます。土曜日に映画を見ます。So 7時に土曜日に What do you think this ni might be referring to? So that's right, this 7時 and 土曜日, these are times, right? 7 o'clock or Saturday. The ni here is used to refer to the time. So we mark our time with ni. 7時に学校に行きます。土曜日に映画を見ます。However, let's take a look at this one. 私は今晩テレビを見ます。鈴木さんは毎朝コーヒーを飲みます。So, 今晩 and 毎朝. So, this evening and every morning. These are also words that tell us about time, right? But what particle do we use after them? That's right, we don't use any particle. We use no particle after these kind of quote-unquote relative times, or after words that have mai on them. So how are we supposed to know whether to use ni or not? So we use ni when we're talking about a time on the clock or a time on the calendar. So if you look at a clock, you can see that it will say 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 5:30. We can look at a calendar and we can see that it says Friday. It says October 2nd. It says September. It says 2020. It says, those are all the ones I can think of. So it says, so the day of the week, or the month, or the year, or what day of the month it is, or what time it is, like on a clock. Those are all times that we use ni with. But we don't use ni with things that are relative times. And what that means is, you're never going to look at a clock and have the numbers on the clock just spell out now, right? You won't look at a calendar and have a day where the people who wrote the calendar wrote the word today on it, or this week, or this year, because those are times that are relative to what day it is. So right now, as I'm speaking, today is Friday, October 2nd, 2020. But in just a couple hours, it's going to be Saturday, October 3rd, 2020. The meaning of today has changed. So if a time is... If a time is relative in that way, if it's not a time that you would write down on a calendar or on a clock, we don't use ni. So things like ima, meaning now, or kyo, meaning today, or konban, meaning this evening, don't have ni with them. We also don't use ni with our mai words. So mainichi, maiasa, maiban, these words that mean every, don't have ni with them. And we don't use ni with the question word itsu, which is a word meaning when. So the only time we want to use ni is if it's a time you can find on a clock or a time you can find on a calendar. Right now, the only ones that we have learned that we would use ni with are ichiji, niji, sanji, and days of the week like doyobi and nichiyobi. So let's review really quick the particles that we have learned so far in Japanese 1010. So what particle do we use when we want to show a possession? A possession like my book or Takeshi's friend. This one is no. How about when we want to show the location where we do something? Like, I study at the library. De. How about if we want to show a place where we're going to? Like, I go to school. This can be either ni or e. We can pick either one. How about if I want to say also? I'll use mo. How about when I want to give the topic of the sentence? This one is wa. How about if I want to give the object of a verb? So like, I eat rice. What do I eat? Rice. This one is o, this special hiragana o. And the ones we just talked about, if I want to talk about a specific time, the time on a calendar or the time on a clock, I'll use ni. And if I want to talk about a relative time, like today or yesterday or next week, then I don't use any particle at all. So these together are all of the particles that we study in the first 3 chapters of Genki.